All right, welcome back to Genius. So in the day two, we'll be talking about variables, we'll be talking about data types, and we'll be talking about operators. All right, but I want you to understand that these three concepts are very huge, and then we can't really cover every single thing. But remember, we have provided some books for you. All right, we have provided some books for you to read and expand your knowledge, and you should make it a habit. After taking the classes, read your books, read the books that we recommend. Okay, so we'll talk about the let keyword, the constant, the var keyword, the primitive types. We'll also be looking at some operators too. So you'll be reading the book Eloquent JavaScript Chapter 2, and then your assignment will be to create a student info calculator. So in the assignment, there is a description on how you can go about it, the step-by-step process you have to follow. All right. And in case you find it difficult doing it, always reach out to us. We're always available. You know that, all right? Okay. So what is a variable? Okay. Now, a variable is a container or a storage location for data. Okay. A variable is a container or a storage location for data. It holds values that your program can use and manipulate. Now let's go to coding. Let me show you what this really means. So I'm going to go into the 100 backend folder. So I'm just going to create another folder. I'll just call it JavaScript. I'll call it JS because we'll be doing JavaScript, TypeScript, and every other thing here. So in this folder, I'll just call it JavaScript, and I'm going to open it. I'll open it with Visual Studio Code. So in this folder, okay, I'm just going to create a file. I will call it variable.js. Okay, so now look at what I'm going to do here. I'm going to say console.log Moha Paulson. That's my name. All right, that's my name. So I am saying console.log, and I have a value that I'm logging to the screen. So I have a value. This is a value, and this is a string value. The data type is string. We'll come back to that later. So anytime I run this program, this will be console. But what if I also want to do something with this same value? What if I also want to do something with this same value? What if I want to say console.log, all right? I want to add my middle name. Now, what if I want to say my name is Moha Paulson? I'm a developer. You can see I'm basically repeating the same value. Look at these values. I have them here, and I'm basically repeating it. Do you understand? So I can still say console.log. My name is Moha Paulson. All right. I love coding. You understand? I can say I love coding. And I am using the same value in three places now. So in the same program, I am using the same value in three places. What should I do? I should tell the computer to store it for me somewhere, please. I will tell the computer, oh, I'm using this value every time. All right. I want you to store it somewhere for me. Just keep it for me. All right. Whenever I ask for it, you give it to me, please. All right. So please store it for me. I'll say const, and I will say full name. I will say full name, and I will say the value is 100%. You understand? So what I have done here is that I have this same value that I'm using every single time. What have I done now? I have told the computer or the interpreter, the JavaScript interpreter, to please store this value for me somewhere, all right, in the memory, all right? And please attach the name, this full name, all right, so that anytime I want to use this value, I will just call on this variable name, all right, this identifier, all right, I will just call on it, and then you will give it to me. So anytime I use this full name, you will give it to me. So I'll just This is the name of the, store this thing somewhere in the memory, but give it a name of full name. So whenever I use this full name in my program, just evaluate it and give me the content of that location, that memory location. So I can now go on and say my name is console.log full name. And here I can also come here. So instead of me doing this, sorry, I'm going to use string literal. All right. We'll talk about string literal later on. So I will just say, I will do this. If you don't understand what I'm doing, no problem. All right. If you don't understand what I'm doing, no problem. Don't worry, we'll get to that later on. So this is called string literal, and then I'm doing, so I'm going to just do this. You can see I now have a storage for my full name. And then when I tell JavaScript this full name, you can see as I take my mouse over it, you can see that you can see what it's saying here. You can say this is the value. So this full name is a variable. It's a variable name. And this variable name is just a memory location that has the name. And this memory location is storing 100% as its content, as the value. So the value stored in this memory location is 100%. And the name of this memory location is full name. So I give it a name so that I can use it to remember. So anytime I run this program and JavaScript will evaluate this expression, don't worry, we'll talk about expression. So this is an expression. Expression is anything that can evaluate to a value. All right. So this is an expression now. So what JavaScript will do is that JavaScript will evaluate this full name as a variable identifier, as a name. It will evaluate it and then replace it with the content. That's the value we stored in that memory location. So now, we actually have we have JavaScript course that where we take time to explain a lot of these things in full details. But remember, this is a boot camp, so we don't have time to explain everything. So in that our JavaScript course, something like variable like this, we have a full chapter for variable and we discuss it at length, explaining every single thing that you need to know. So if I save this now, remember, I can go to my terminal and I will say, I will say node, and then the name of the JavaScript is variable.js. Even if I don't put .js, it will still run. So if I hit enter, it will say the first one, console.log 100%. The second one, my name is 100%. You can see JavaScript has evaluated this as variable name and then replaced it with the content. So you can see that's what we have here. So if you don't want to if you don't want to use the terminal, you can just look at here. You can see this play button. All right, take your mouse. You can see this play button. Just click on it and it will run like this. Oh, full name is not referenced. What do you mean? Full name is not defined. How? So I'm having an error here, and I don't understand why it's saying full name is not defined. Okay, so I don't know. Okay, maybe I didn't save it or something. I don't know. So, but it has run now. So if I run it, if I click on it again, you can see it's running now. So I don't really know why it was saying full name was that, but I just have to save the file again, and everything is working fine now. So it's either you use the terminal, all right, and do node variable.js or even node variable, only variable. That's the name of the file, and you run it. Okay, so let's go back to, all right. So it holds value that your program can use and manipulate. So you can see that we use it to store a value that we'll be using often in our program. If you want to manipulate it, you can manipulate it. All right. So how to declare variable in JavaScript? You use the let keyword or the constant keyword. We also have the var keyword, but this is the older way. Avoid using the var keyword. So I can use let keyword. So if I go back to my code, I can say, instead of const, I can say let, and everything will work fine. If I run, you see, everything works fine. I can also say var, but please don't use var. Don't use var, please. I save it. I run, you can see it's working. But please don't use var. We'll come to reason why. We'll come to that later on. So when you use let keyword, you can reassign. Okay. So, but when you use constant keyword, you cannot reassign. So this thing means is this. If I say I'm using the const keyword, all right, I cannot change this value. So when you tell JavaScript, oh yeah, use the const keyword to declare this variable for me, it means that do not change the content at any point in time. Never you change the content. I just want the content to be my full name would always remain one person. My full name would always remain one person. Okay. Now, if you try to change it, if I try to say full name is equal to blah blah blah, all right, we're going to have an error here. So I think I'll use the terminal this time around. If I try to use the terminal, you can see it says, look at what it says. It says, look at the error here. It says assignment to constant variable. You cannot assign to constant variable. So I'm trying to tell JavaScript to change the content of this memory location. So JavaScript says, no, you told me not to change it. You use the const keyword. So you told me that I should not change the content, that it will always be 100%. It can never change. So I will not change it. But if you want me to change it, use the let keyword. If this is going to change at any point in time, use the let keyword. If you use the constant keyword, I will not change the value. That's the command you gave me. I will always follow your command. But in case you want to make changes, you can change the value of this memory location can be changed, no problem. Use the const keyword. So if I go on now and then I think I don't know, I prefer using, oh my God, sorry. I prefer using git bash. All right. I prefer using git bash. But if you don't have git bash, no problem. If you don't have git bash, no problem. But I prefer to use git bash. Okay. So don't worry, we'll still install git. When we get to version control system, all right, we are going to install git. But for now, I'm going to say node, then I will say variable. This time around, I'm not going to use variable. All right. Is my spelling correct? Variable. And you can see, look at it. I had it to be 100% before, but because of I use the let keyword, that means I can change it at any time. I changed it here, and you can see now my name is NNNNN. All right. So that's the difference. So for me, I prefer to use const keyword always. Now, if there's any need for me to, if during my program, is there any need for me to do something like this, I will now know, okay, I can go and change it to let keyword. But for me, I prefer to use const keyword. So during my program, as I'm writing the program, if there's any need for me to make changes, then I will now go and use the let keyword. But for me, I always use constant keyword because it has benefits. So if, for instance, I'm using constant keyword, all right, to create this, and at a point in my code, I now need to change, to make a change. I'll now know, okay, that means this variable can actually change. Let me go and make it. Let me go and use the let keyword to do it. Okay, so for me, I always use the constant keyword. All right, so there are types, these are types of declaration. When you use the var keyword, it uses something, the scope of the variable is going to be function. Is it reassignable? Yes, you can reassign it. There's something we call hoisting. All right. It also does hoisting. Preferred use, no, avoid it. Avoid it. But the let keep now, the thing is this, I would have explained what hoisting means, but there is no need. All right. Do not use var keyword. Don't use var keyword. Always use let. So let is block scoped. We'll talk about scope. We'll talk about variable scope later on. Okay, let is block scoped. It is reassignable. Yes, you can reassign. You can change the value. Does it do hoisting? No, it doesn't. The const keyword is also block scoped. You cannot reassign it. It does not hoist. And use it when the value doesn't change. Okay. So The naming rules, when you're naming your variable must begin with a letter, an underscore, or a dollar sign. Your variable must begin with is either a letter, an underscore, or a dollar sign. Do not start your variable name with anything other than these three things we just mentioned. It can be any letter. You cannot start with a number. You cannot start with a number. Look at it. If I go now to say this first name, I will just start it with a number. You can see it's already giving me probably it says an identifier or keyword can not immediately follow a numeric literal. So you can see Visual Studio Code is already giving me error already. So you cannot do this. But you can start with a letter. F is a letter. You can start with an underscore, no problem. You can start with a dollar sign, no problem. But do you understand? Don't ever use a numeric number. It is case sensitive. This name and this name, they are not the same. So look at it. If I go on now, if I say this full name, I change the F to capital F, there will be a problem. Look at if you can see there are three dots under this F. It says could not find full name. Did you mean full name? So this full name and this one, they are two different things. You have to be careful. All right. If I say if I do this small f here and I'll come and change one of this L to be capital L, they mean different things. So they have to be the same case. It is case sensitive. They have to be the same case. All right. It has to be the same case. All right. So it cannot be a reserved keyword. You cannot use a reserved keyword. All right. One assignment I'm going to give you now is to go and search for JavaScript reserved keywords. All right. You cannot use reserved keyword for the name of your variable. So I cannot say that this variable name is going to be if. If is a reserved keyword. All right. You can see if I take my mouse over it, it says if is not allowed as a variable declaration name. You cannot use a reserved keyword. I cannot use for. For is a reserved keyword. All right. So do not use these things. All right. Now let's talk about data types. All right. JavaScript has two main types. The first data type is the primitive data types. They are immutable. When we say they are immutable, it means that their content does not change. All right. When you give a value to a primitive data type, the value will not change. All right. These hold only a single value. A primitive data type only holds a primitive value, a single value. Now, what do we mean by data type? Remember that everything we do with the computer is data. You see, this thing is data. The name, this is a name of somebody. This is somebody's name. All right. It could be somebody's age. All right. It could be somebody's age. It could be somebody's salary. So it is data. Okay. So, but the thing is that this particular data, what is the type of this data? Every data has a type. All right. This is a test. All right. So a test and a number cannot be the same. So they have different data types here. This test, the data type is string, and this one, the data type is number. So they cannot be the same thing. And the thing is that every data type have different operations you can perform on them. You cannot perform division operation on a string like this. You can't do that. All right. So they all have different operations you can perform on every data type. So every data has a type. All right. So these are the data types we have. We have the string data type, and this is any text at all. Somebody's name, somebody's address. All right. Somebody's anything that is text. All right. Anything that is text is a string data type, and you put them enclosed in a double quote or a single quote. You put them in a double quote or a single quote. Numbers are whole numbers and decimal numbers. It can also be negative numbers. We also have another data type that is Boolean. Okay, Boolean is either true or false. So is he a boy? Is he a girl? Is he tall? Is he short? Is he rich? Do you understand? The answers to these questions can either be yes or no. So, but when you come to computer programming, it is either true or false. So we also have another one that is called undefined. The data type of a value is undefined if that particular variable is not assigned to any, does not have any value. So if I go now and say, I will say constant salary. If I do not assign any value to it, why is it giving me error? Okay, sorry, constant declarations must have values. All right, so I can use the let keyword. All right. So the thing is that when you make a mistake, Visual Studio Code will just remind you of your mistake. Okay. So you can see now the data type of this salary is undefined. All right. So this salary does not contain any value. I just told the computer to reserve a memory location for me, call it salary, but don't put anything yet in it. So the data type is undefined because it does not have a value. So basically, when we talk about data types in JavaScript, we are talking about the data type of the value, not of the variable. All right. So when you read these books that we have recommended for you, you get to understand better. And as you're reading them, if you have any questions, please throw it in the WhatsApp group so that we can answer them. We cannot explain everything right here. So, but if you have any question that you have something, a concept that you don't understand, please drop the question in the WhatsApp group, okay? We also have another one called null. Null means that this particular variable does not contain any value, does not have any value. It's different from undefined. Undefined, we don't know. But null says this value does not, this variable does not have any value. The value is unknown, sorry. It has value, but the value is unknown. But the undefined says it does not have any value. It is not yet assigned any value. We also have the symbol data type, and we also have the big int. But most times we don't even use these last two. All right. So we also have the non-primitive data types. We have the objects, we have the array, and we have the functions. Don't worry, we'll be talking about them in later classes. All right, so we have objects, we have arrays, and we have functions. These are non-primitive data types. All right, these are non-primitive data types. So they can hold multiple values. These particular data types can hold multiple values. All right. Then we have something we call the type of operator. If you want to know the type of a particular value or the value, the type of the value that a variable holds, you use the type of operator. So you use it to check the type of a value. So if I go back to so if I want to check, okay, I think I can take these guys off now. I want to check the type of full name. I will just do this. I will say type of, I'll give it a space. If I run this code now, it says the type is a string. You can see it, the type is a string. All right, I can just clear so that I can have some space. All right, that's why I like using the git bash. This clear does not really work with command, so I prefer git bash. So you can see the type of full name is string. Let's take the type for age. All right, if I run it, it gives us, okay. Oh, sorry. It gives us number. You can see it gives us number. All right. What is the type of salary? Let's take a look at the type of salary, the value it contains. It gives us undefined. So it means that this particular variable does not contain any value. The value is undefined. So we don't have the type. We don't know the type. The value is undefined. So we don't know the type. Okay. Then what if we say salary is equal to null? So we are saying now that we are giving it a value, but this value is none. All right. So if I say what is the type of that, look at, there is a strange thing that is going to happen. Type of salary, which is null, the value is null. All right. So it's going to give us something strange, object. But I believe you are expecting to get null as the type of the value. This is something we call one of the quirks in JavaScript. So it is supposed to return null, but it's returning object, and it was a mistake by the developers of JavaScript. Because if they try to fix it, it will cause more problem. So they left it. So just be aware that the type of null is object. So be careful with it. So use the type of to check the hello 42. It will give you number. When you type of null will give you object. Type of undefined will give you undefined. And type of an array will give you objects too. An array will give you object. Type of an object will give you object. Type of a function would also give you function. Okay, let's try this. Let me write a function here. I will just call it func. And then, so let me try and run. What is the type of func? Let's see what we expect here. You can see the type of a function is function, but the type of an array, this is how we declare array. The type of an array is object. Let me clear. The type of an array is object. Okay, the type of an object is also an object, but the type of a function is function. All right, so just be careful with when you work with all these things. So what about operators? What about operators? We have arithmetic operators. They are used for mathematical operations. So we have the addition, we have the subtraction, we have the multiplication, we have the division. Okay, just like the normal thing we have in our elementary mathematics, we also have the modulus. So modulus is something that we just have to explain. Okay, 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 2 minus 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4. So that is how this works. So, but let's talk about the modulus. All right. If I try to say console.log 10 modulus 3, let's see what it gives us. It will give us the remainder. 10 divided by 3 is 3 remainder 1. But here we are not asking for the result. We are asking for the remainder. When you use the modulus operator, the modulus operator is the key with the 5. Just use Control Shift, then 5. You get the modulus operator. 10 modulus 3 will give you 1 because 10 divided by 3 will give you 3 remainder 1. So this modulus operator returns the remainder. It returns the remainder of a mathematical expression like this. Okay, so if you want to do division, of course, it is very simple. Division will give you, that's why I wouldn't want to, it will give you 3.33335. You understand? Because 3 point something, that's what it will give you. If I want to do multiplication, I will use the star, asterisk, and of course, it will give me 30. All right, so if you want to do minus, plus, just the same thing, okay? Now, these are the symbols that you use, okay? So we also have the exponential. This one was introduced in EX6 plus. So exponential is like 2 raised to power 2, 2 raised to power 3. So if I say 2 raised to power 2, you know what 2 raised to power 2 is 8. So you use double asterisk if you want to get the exponential. 2 raised to power 3 will give us 8. Now, I want you to understand something. See, the power of this boot camp is in you reading your books. As you're reading your books, if you're not understanding something, you ask questions. You throw in questions in the WhatsApp group. All right? So make sure you read the books that we have recommended. We also have the increment. All right, we also have the decrement. So if I want to increment a value now, look at it. If I say, but there's a lot about this increment and decrement. Look at it. If I try to say 2 plus plus, of course, let me clear. If I try to say 2 plus plus means add 1 to 2. All right. If I say add 1 to 2, it's giving us invalid left-hand side expression in postface operation. Now, what is it called again? Okay, so basically, let me try again and see this error will go out. The error is still there. So this is what I will do. I will first of all put it in a variable. I'll use the less keyword because it will change. I'll just call it 2 is equal to 2. Then I will now use the variable. I will now use the variable name. I'll say, so of course I will save. Then I will have to clear. All right. Then I'll run the code again. So it's still giving me, oh my God. Oh, sorry. It's 2 plus plus. Sorry, I didn't get something right there. But I'll have to clear again. So you can see, look at it. I have a variable and I have the value 2 in it. And I'm not saying 2 plus plus. Normally, we say this thing is an increment operator. It should increment the value of 2 to be 3. That's what we were expecting. But there is something about this particular operator. We have the postface and we have the preface. Now, if I do plus plus, look at what will happen. It will not increment. If I do plus plus first, it will increment. You can see it's now 3. But what happens when this is the preface, all right? And this other one is with the postface, it doesn't work. It works. It works, but look at it. If I now come back and now say console.log, if I now say console.log, and then I now say, after I have done that increment, I now say 2, look at what is going to happen. The first one will not give us the increment directly, but later on, it has incremented the value, the value in the variable location, and then this will now be 2 and 3. So if I run it again, you can see we now have 2, 3. Okay? Now, there's something you need to understand. With the preface, all right, with the preface, this whole expression is evaluated. Now, if you have it as preface, all right, the expression will be evaluated. It will be evaluated. So when we now say 2, the variable 2 has the number 2, and then the plus plus will now make it 3. So it will be evaluated immediately. But when you use the postface, all right, it will not be evaluated immediately. So that is why we would have that issue. So be careful how you use this. Be careful how you use this. If you want more explanation, let us know. So be careful how you use this increment, both the plus plus and the minus minus. But the thing is that you just increase it by 1 or decrement it by 1. Okay. So make sure you are very careful when you're using the preface and the postface. Okay. We also have the assignment operators. As you use the assignment operators to assign values to variables. You have the first one you have seen is the equal to sign. Now, normally in mathematics, this means is it equal to, but here this is the assignment operator. You can see we have used it severally here. We use it to assign a value to a variable. Do you understand? We use it to tell the computer, okay, store this value in this variable. So it is an assignment operator. We use it to assign values to a variable. All right. We also have the add and assign. All right. We have the add, assign, or subtract and assign. So let me show you something. I have 2 plus 2. 2 is equal to 2. I can come back and say 2 is equal to, I can go back and say 2 plus equal to 3. What am I doing here? All right. In the comments, all right, what I'm doing here is, in the comment, I am doing 2 is equal to 2 plus 3. That's exactly what I'm doing here. This is equivalent. Both of them are equivalent. Instead of me to say, I am saying, get the value of these two variables, then add 3 to it, and then store it back in the variable. So at the end of the day, 2 plus 2 will give us 5. So 5 will be stored in this variable. But I can just use the shorthand like this. 2 plus equal to 3. So JavaScript will just break it down to this and then make it work. So if I run this code now, I'm going to get 5. So the same thing applies. Oof. So the same thing applies. What is happening now? Why is this? Okay. I'll open a new one because I prefer Git Bash. All right. So I can say node variable. Node variable. And then it will give me 5 because what I'm saying is get the value of 2, then add 3 to it, and then store it back, store the results back. So we have a couple of them here. We also have the multiplication, we have the addition, we have the subtraction. So it's just the division is also here. So even with the modulus, so we are saying get the modulus of this and assign to it. So the result of the modulus will be assigned to. So let's try the modulus. So we are saying 2 modulus. Let's do 2 modulus 1. That would make more sense. So this will be 2 modulus 1. So if I save now and run this code, you can see the answer is 0. 2 divided by 1 is what? 2. Remainder 0. So the remainder is what we are now storing back in this variable, in this 2 variable. All right. So be careful when you actually use it. We also have comparison operators. We use it to compare two values. Is this value equal to this? Is this value not equal to this? Is this value greater than this? Is this value not greater than this? So the result of comparison operators are always Boolean values, either true or false. So you compare two values and return true or false. It's always true or false. So this equal to means is 2 and 2 equal to 2? So if I say, maybe I'll take this guy out. I'll just take this out. If I say is 2 equal to 2, of course, the answer is what? It will be true because it is equal to 2. We get 2. If I say is 2 equal to 3, what do we get? We'll get false because the answer is no. They are not equal. So now we also have another type. Instead of 2 equal to, we also have 3 equal to. So the best way I can explain this thing to you right now is this. With this one, all right, it compares their data type to it will compare the value and also compare the data type. That's the best explanation I can give you now. All right. So first of all, it will compare the value. The value is 2, 2, so they are equal. It will also compare their type. 2 and 2, are they of the same type? Yes. The first 2 is number. The second one is also number. So they are equal. All right. So, but if I try to change, if I run this code now, of course, I will get true. All right. I will get true. I can clear. Let me clear and have some space. Okay. So, but what if I change the data type of this other value? This one is a number and this one is a string. And we are comparing, first of all, to compare their data type. They are not the same data type, so it will be false. All right. So if we try this now, it's going to be, it's going to be false. In as much as the values seems like they are the same, but they are not of the same data type. But you can see this one is called strict equality operator. Well, the second one, the one we just double this thing, it only checks for the value, it doesn't check for the data type. So we call it loose equality operator. Avoid using this. And if I try this now, you're going to see that it will be true. You might be like, there's no 2 and 2 is the same thing. No, they are not. They are not. So it can give you unexpected results in your program. So always use the the strict equality operator. Okay, always. All right, so we have the equal strict that checks the type 2. We have the not equal to. So not equal to is just the opposite. Is 2 equal to 2 or is 2 not equal to 2? So, of course, this will always give us false. Okay, but if you say not equal to, not is 2 not equal to, yeah, this one will not give us true. Because 2 that has the data type of a number is not equal to the 2 that has the data type of string. So they are not equal. So, but what if I say 2 is not equal to 2? This time around, both have the same value and both have the same data type. So what is going to give us? Is going to give us false. Because this not equal to, 2 is equal to 2 now. So when you say 2 is not equal to 2, it's not true. Because 2 is equal to 2. You cannot say 2 is not equal to 2. That is why it's giving us false here. So be careful how you use this. All right. Check your logic very, very well. Check your logic very, very well. So we also have the greater than. We also have the less than. So of course, the same thing, greater than. Is 2 greater than 2? The answer is what? No. It's not true. Because 2 is not greater than 2. So we will get false. We will get false because 2 is not greater than 2. But is 2 greater than 3? No, 2 is not greater than 3. We also get false. But let's try another one. Is 2 less than 3? Yes. We have the less than. All right. Is 2 less than 3? Yes, 2 is less than 3. So we'll get 3. We'll get true. Okay. Then we also have the greater than or equal to. So what this thing means is I can say is 2 greater than or equal to. We are checking for two comparison now. First of all, we say is 2 greater than 3? No. Is 2 equal to 3? No. So both of them both of them returned false. So the answer will be false. So if I run this now, we are going to get false. But what if I say is 3 greater than 3? First of all, 3 greater than 3 is not true. But is 3 equal to 3? Yes. So one of them is true. So we'll get true here. All right. Be careful. Study this thing very, very well. 3 greater than 3? No. 3 equal to 3? Yes. All right. I can go and say 8 greater than 3. Is 8 greater than 3? Yes. True. So it will just return true. It doesn't need to check the equal, whether 8 is equal to, as long as one of the comparison returns true, it will be true. We also have the less than and then the less than equal to. All right, so we have the less than and less than equal to. So always make sure you use the strict equal to operator. We have the logical operators. These ones are used to combine Boolean values. So if you have Boolean values like, now you can say, if you knock, you have logical, let me give an example here. Now, let's say you're a lady and you have your type of man. So you say, what you always want is a man that is tall, dark and handsome, and also rich. That means he has to be rich and he has to be tall, dark, and handsome. So if any of this situation is not true, that means you're not accepting that guy. So if the guy is tall, dark, and handsome, but he's broke, no, you're not taking him. If the guy is short, all right, fair and ugly, but he's rich, you're not taking that person. So you can see how we are comparing two logical things here. So the AND operator says both of them must be true. But you can also, maybe when you're not getting older, all right, you're hitting your 40 or your 30-something, you're hitting your 40, you cannot say, okay, maybe I could just take one of them. If he's tall, dark, and handsome, and he's broke, I can manage it. But if he's short and ugly, and he's rich, I can also manage him. So that is where we have the and the or. For the first example uses the and, both of them must be true, but the or operator uses if any of them Fine. Any of them is true, fine. All right. So we also have the not logical operator. So I can go and say, let's assume we are saying uh, 8 is greater than 3 and 3 is greater than 2. You can see that the first expression here says 8 is greater than 3. This would evaluate to true or false. All right. Then the second one will also evaluate to true or false. So for the whole expression to be true, all right, using this logical AND operator, both of them has to be true. And in this case, both of them is true. So if I run this now, we'll get true because both of them is true. So, but what if I say 3 is less than? Of course, the first one is true, 8 is greater than 3, but 3 is not less than 2. So this one will result to false. So since one of them has become false, that means everything will be false. So if I go and run, you see that we'll get false. But if I use the OR operator says if any of them is true, I'm okay. If any of them is true, I'm okay. So I'm going to clear. So if any of them is true, then it will be true. Do you understand? So this is the AND operator and the OR operator. We also have the negation operator. I can say not true. This will give me the opposite of true. It will give me false. If I say not false, use the exclamation mark, that's the not operator. Not false will give me true, so it will negate it. And I can also use it in expressions like I can say not 7 greater than 6. Of course, 7 is greater than 6, but now we are not negating it. We are not negating it. So we now say 7 is greater than 6, true. But the overall result will not be false because we are negating the true. Will give us false. All right? So we also have the string operators, the concatenation operator. You can use it to concatenate strings. We also have the append to existing string. And we also, so let me show you how you can concatenate two strings. I can take everything out here and I can say console, or I can say const is equal to hello. Oh my God. I can say const is equal to greeting. I have to give the variable name. I can say hello plus word. So I am adding two strings together. This is a string, and this is also a string. So I use this is not when we use the plus operator on a string, it is called concatenation. It's not called addition. All right. I can also now let me change this thing to less because I would want to do some changes. I can also say, but I can put a space here so that there will be space. I can also come and say greeting plus equal to this exclamation mark. But of course, it has to be in a string. It has to be in a string. So I am concatenating. So if I say console.log, all right, I am concatenating. So I will say console.log greeting. And when I run this code, let me clear. When I run this code, you can see I'm getting hello world. So first of all, I use the concatenation operator to concatenate the two strings and it made them one. Then after that, I got hello world. Then in the second one, and I use this other operator to append, and I added this extra one to it. So we also have the ternary operator. Maybe I'm going to explain this ternary operator more when we talk about the if-else statement. That is where we actually use it. But for now, just know that there's something called ternary operator. All right, there's something called ternary operator. If I explain it now, it might not make sense here. So I'll talk about it when we talk about the if-else statement. Okay. So there's no need to explain this, but it's okay. I'm not going to explain it here because we have not talked about the if-else statement. Okay. So this is a summary of the table. Variable. This is a variable name called Sam. it declares a variable, the data type, the type of, use the type of operator to get the data type, it will return number or the, now here 10 is a number, so that's why it's returning number. Arithmetic operations like add two numbers, multiply, minus, division. We have the comparison, the strict, this one is strict equality. We have the logical and, the logical or, and the not operator. We have the assignment operators, and we also have the ternary operator. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you read this book we have recommended. As you're reading them, be jotting down things you do not understand for better explanation. And when you have any difficulty, drop it in the WhatsApp group. We'll make a live class, and we'll have a live class, and you ask these questions and we'll clarify you. Okay. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next class.